It's that time of the week again, the end of it. Well, not really. It's Saturday. It's it's the weekend for some. Some people will probably be fortunate enough not to have to work on the weekends, and some of us do. I have an HDR capable TV. So welcome back to Saturday Morning Nostalgia. This might be a more, I don't know, contemplative, serious. I don't know if I'm funny or laid back or whatever, but we're going to be playing The Last of Us, the remastered version from 2014, not the remake, quote unquote, that came out a couple years ago. I haven't played that version. I've played this version a few times. Yada yada. It's one of my, I don't know if I would say it's like top 10 greatest games of all time. But I have played through this a couple times. I just remember Brian Altano of IGN saying it was a game he knew he was going to return to every year after he played it in 2013. I don't know if he actually did that, but as always, let's start with this. That was a weird timbre. This is a Kirkland signature sparkling water lime I'm going with today. Going with water instead of Coke or pop or soda pop. I'm from the southeast Michigan, so I call it pop. I'm going to. The reason I'm doing The Last of Us, I was originally going to do. I'll keep it a surprise, but I have all of May lined up for SNM, Saturday Morning Nostalgia. I mixed up the abbreviation there. It's SMN. I have a theme for May, and it just so happens there's 5 Saturdays in May this year. So hopefully so I'm going to become a father like imminently, like it could happen any day now. So this will be the last video I record, the last nostalgia video I record before my daughter is here. And I just thought, what if I play, like, I don't know if I'd call The Last of Us a comfort game. I mean, I guess it is timely right now with Last of Us Season 2 being out and all, even though I'm not playing Last of Us Part 2. But, yeah, I thought there's 2 dad games or dad franchises, and they're both Sony. It's The Last of Us and God of War. And since I'm having a daughter, I decided to go with The Last of Us. And I do prefer The Last of Us more than God of War. So yeah, I don't know. Like I guess this is like a heat check to see where I'm at beforehand. I feel very like me and my wife have been hanging out with a lot of our friends, and we're seeing family because it's Easter weekend, also WrestleMania weekend. Park that, Hunter. Who gives a shit? At the time of this recording. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of people, and that's been really helpful for my anxiety, because I feel like since COVID, my anxiety, like being indoors more and working from home, like I have less experience dealing with the outside world, and that's probably going to change pretty soon with me. So I want to like give a big thank you to Billy last week for being on last week's show. I really enjoyed that, and I hope to have other like more friends. Who knows? Maybe frenemies on the show. Me and my good friend Andrew do plan on doing an episode, a co-op episode, sometime in the near future. But my life's about to like it's going to be a 180. So. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I really appreciate Billy being on, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like just going back in time and just like creating new memories. Like it's still like I'm still processing it. So yeah, I don't know if I'm really going to be like, this game came out 12 years ago. I do have a lot of nostalgia for it, and I will do another video on this game, another nostalgia video eventually, because I have something else to talk about with this game, but it's not going to be that today. This is just going to be like a, I don't know, just like a looser, just like, I don't know, video log. Do people still say that? Vlog? I thought about writing in my diary, but I thought, oh, maybe this will be a better way where I don't have to write, because I just like, I just had to like, because it's like, oh, before my daughter's here, I want to put out like one video, like video essay proper, because I haven't done one this month, and I'm trying to put out like one a month. So I did a wrestling one this month, which has gone on my Patreon. Again, shout out to Andrew for being my sole Patreon backer. Yeah, so that will be up on YouTube after this recording, hopefully, pending copyright nightmares. But yeah, so this beginning of Last of Us,
8 missed calls. Where the hell are you?
I really like this opening. Tommy is our uncle. We're playing as Joel's daughter here. Just kind of hanging out at the house. This game is like,
where is he?
It was developed by Naughty Dog, which is one of Sony's tentpole studios, and they were critically acclaimed at this point in 2013. Like, this is Neil Druckmann. This is the guy who did Crash Bandicoot. This is the guy who did did he do? He definitely did Jak and Daxter, that whole trilogy. I want to play Jak and Daxter 2 or Jak 2 on this at some point. But and then like graduated to Uncharted in 2007, and then did the whole Uncharted trilogy. And this game is like a spiritual successor to Uncharted. Like by that I mean, like, yeah, it's a different type of game, but like gameplay wise, I don't know. It's like aesthetically, this game is completely different from Uncharted, because it's like, it's like a hard R rated like zombie game. It's very nihilistic. It's about the like existing after the end of the world. Whereas Uncharted is like, very PG-13 Indiana Jones homage. But like gameplay wise, they're very similar franchises. And like down to like, which we'll see later, when like there's an egregious amount in both franchises, an egregious amount of grabbing ladders and dumpsters and kicking down ladders. And we won't see that today, but like floating planks in the water that Joel and Ellie have to work together to like traverse areas. I remember like, whatever with hyperbole these days, like who knows, like if hyperbole is becoming more like AI think, it's becoming harder and harder to like determine who with like, I feel like AI has just become such a prominent part of our lives over the past couple of years that it's like, when I have a thought now, I have to like stop myself and be like, wait, is that something I just like, is this like Chat GBT coming out of me right now, coming out of my mouth, or is this like, I don't, you know what I mean? It's weird, but I remember really wanting to love this game when it came out in 2013, and I did. Like, I feel like my expectations were met. Like, I don't think I was as jaded as I am now, but like this scene right here, where you're just like, you can linger on the house that's just on fire, and Joel's daughter, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, not Ellie though, but it's really cool that you get to like control her initially, and you just kind of see how overwhelming this situation is, but she's just kind of like, she's playing it cool. She's not freaking out. Like the writers, Neil Druckmann did a very I mean, this is a very well written game. I've only played Last of Us Part 2 once. So I don't know if you were to ask me now in 2025 as a mid, nah, I'm being delusional, a late 30s white male, like what I think is like the best Naughty Dog game now. I mean, if I had played Jack 2 when it came out, I probably would say Jack 2, but I feel like if you ask me, I'm kind of a poser. Like I haven't played a lot of the Jack series, so it really comes down to like the Uncharted's and Last of Us for me. And been a while since I've revisited any of the Uncharted's too, but I feel like Last of Us Part One has to be. I mean, this game is just paced so well. Like you don't want to stop playing it, and like we'll get into it when we see more of the gameplay proper. But yeah, this like opening section is just it's like very walking simulator, which I know is a very disparaging term now, even though I think it's hilarious. Yeah, I remember walking simulators, Firewatch, What Remains of Edith Finch. There were some pretty good ones. And I don't know. Like the main things that are giving me anxiety about having a kid, it's not even like her being here and like it's the loss of sleep, because when you have a newborn baby, I'm talking like the first like I don't know 2 to 3 months, that baby needs to be fed like every 2 to 3 hours, and if she doesn't wake up, you have to like wake her up. So that means like no consistent sleep through the night, you know? And I'm not a napper. I used to be, but like I got to this point in my life like when I started taking naps and I just have these horrific nightmares, which yeah, like probably not the greatest game to be playing. But I stopped napping because I remember like I would just nap and then I would feel worse when I got up, or I'd have like nightmares, intense nightmares that were like way more vivid than the nightmares I would have if I. But I don't really have like, well, I don't know. Sometimes I do. So yeah, that's like deterred me from napping. But I'm gonna have to like figure something out. It'll be interesting to see like what about me changes having a kid, like the amount of like not give a fuckery in my life, like how much will I become less like self-aware or just like stop caring, like because when I go grocery shopping, even like something I've done 1,000 times, it's still like it still gives me anxiety, like waiting in line, making sure you're courteous, because I like maybe it has to do with me working like in a grocery store when I like used to work in a grocery store, and then we went to like a Family Dollar or a Dollar Tree earlier because it's Easter, we had to get stuff, and just feeling like it's much more crammed than like a Costco or a Kroger, even though Costco, like I'm drinking this Kirkland Signature, which is Costco brand, for as like massive as Costco is, their carts are so like gargantuan that even if you have like this wide aisle, you still feel like if somebody else is coming your way, like there's a very good chance, if you're not fully aware, you could like bump carts. I always feel like every time I go to Costco, I'm like I feel like everybody there is like one bad step away from like one false step away from like just completely losing their shit. I feel like Costco is a house of cards that is like just somehow miraculously staying together, which is, you know, that's capitalism, baby.
What about Uncle Tommy?
So yeah, sleep is like the biggest thing. Because I do plan on like I'm gonna have to figure out like the job situation after a couple of months, but because this YouTube channel ain't paying me shit. But those first couple months, like I do plan on having a very active. Like, I'm glad I'm reading this book. It's like the ultimate guide to be a father, and I don't have the book in front of me, so I'm sorry I can't shout the guy out. But he said, I'm very glad he mentioned this. A lot of dads, like, I didn't know this, but apparently a lot of dads do have this fear of like dropping their kid. So like initially, I had this fear, like, oh, what if I like maybe I won't pick her up as much off the bat, and I'll just like get the hang of it later with time. But then you realize, like, oh no, you have to like establish contact, like physical contact and emotional contact with your child like immediately, because like the longer you wait for that to happen, well, I'm speculating here, and based on like literature I've read and friends and other fathers' takes, like, yeah, you have to put forth the effort physically and emotionally, like right out of the gate, even before even before your child's born, like because they can hear what you're saying in the womb, like I think from like 4 or 5 months onwards. So I'm trying to be more aware of like even now, like how I talk, with around my wife, and like what do I say around the house, and like when I'm frustrated, be sure not to like yell or anything, which can be very challenging having 2 dogs who are being like more needy than ever right now, because we're having all these like contractors over, and we're having friends over and family, because we're getting the nursery together. We've been painting that, and then and then we got our kitchen redone. So like our dogs are just, they sense that something is amiss, and so they become like very needy. Like I have a 15-year-old like Westie who's still hanging on, and we have a 8.5-year-ish old Chihuahua who does the typical Chihuahua thing of barking his head off every time somebody comes into the house, or when a leaf falls outside, he'll bark at it.
I'm coming.
So the shift to 20 years later. I feel like this was like Last of Us was one of the first games, the first game maybe, to like really make that transition from like making things less. I mean, it's a very melodramatic game, but just having the text there very like unassumedly. Like Control was very good with that, where it just had like massive font of like the new area you were in, and it was just there, and it wasn't overstated. It's just like it didn't overstay its welcome. I like that, and Last of Us has that ruggedness about it. Like it's very good at being a minimalistic game.
The deal went south and the client made off with our pills. Is that about right?
Deal went off without a hitch. Enough ration cards to last us a couple of months, easy.
You want to explain this?
I was on my way back here, and I got jumped by these 2 assholes, all right?
Yeah, I guess like
It's in,
I'm not.
look, I managed.
I'm not dreading this. I thought I was going to be dreading
Still with us?
like all the changes in my life, but I'm really not. Like I feel like
We're a couple of nobodies. They don't matter.
I feel like it's good to have a certain amount of stress in your life. I remember reading that in like a psychology textbook back in college, because like anxiety could be a motivator, and I feel like anxiety is like something that will never go away for anyone. Like it's part, like as Soren Kierkegaard, the 19th century Danish philosopher, would say,
Well, I'm ready now. Yeah.
anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. I think that was how it goes. And he pretty much like, he predated like psychoanalysis, but pretty much like rendered it he rendered like talking to somebody as like, if you have a problem, like psychologically, like psychoanalysis, like getting better. Like there's no such thing as getting better, because like the goal of like talking about your problems, regardless of how you do it, whether it be with a best friend, your wife, or a therapist, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist, therapist, it's not going to make you feel happy. It's hard to explain. Like, the goal isn't happiness. The goal is like, and the goal isn't to eliminate anxiety, because if you like eliminate anxiety, you're just kind of, I don't know, dead inside maybe. But I just feel like eliminating anxiety, like living a life without anxiety, is impossible. So like, if you can make your anxiety fun, I feel like that's the best you can do, you know, where it's like, it's not dread. It's more like the Heideggerian anticipatory resoluteness, where you wake up in the morning and you're not like overwhelmed with dread. You're more just like, okay, like, I got shit to do today and I'm looking forward to getting it done. Like, there's enough in my life that's like, yeah, it's going to be challenging. I might have to like, talk to certain people, establish things, depending on whoever it is, whether it be for like a job, like if you're in a conference call, or if you have to like make an awkward call with like a family member, whatever it is, reuniting with a lost friend. It's like those things do give you anxiety, and it's like, then it's on you to like determine how much that anxiety, like, because your anxiety can get the best of you, and to the point where like you just like, you flake out, you text somebody and it's like you make plans, and then later on you're like, oh shit, I can't do this, I'm too overwhelmed, and then you cancel plans. Like, I think that is no good. I think having boundaries is important, but I think you also have to, like, if you commit to something and then you like, and then the day of it's like too much for you. I mean, shit happens, I get that, but if it's like a recurring pattern in your life, I do think it's on you to like, not fix it, but like figure out why you keep making plans with people. And because I used to do this, and I know people in my life who do this and still do this, you know. So like, I'm not judging it, I get it. Like, I think a lot of us are very moody, and sometimes we're in very good moods when we're with people, and we want to like we have camaraderie, and then we want to like hang out whatever later, and then it just gets to be too much when the time comes to like hang out again or whatever. Hopefully this makes sense.
They're gonna close all the checkpoints.
So having the prospect of having a child, I think just like, I think it can do two things to a man. It can either make him like, it can infantilize him even more, like to the point, like beyond return. And I'm just thinking of like Matt Walsh, or
Where are you off to?
Gonna pay Robert a visit.
You too?
I know this one guy.
Marlene?
I'm not going to name names. I'm going to keep this very vague, but
What do the Fireflies need with Robert?
he has two kids, and his wife, like,
The truth. I got no idea.
who I could never imagine being a stay-at-home mom, became a stay-at-home mom, because he just like doubled down on work, and he's like a careerist type who, he's very old school, and he thinks he's one of those people who thinks like, one of those men who think like, oh, if I work 80 hours a week and I'm bringing the bread home, that's me giving my love. But then he's like, he's barely there for his kids, and I don't know. It's like, to me, that is just like, I feel like that's still kind of the dominant ideology. I mean, I like men. I'm proud of the men who have the balls to like
Shit's stirring up out there.
resist that notion and aren't afraid to like be in the passenger seat sometimes, like literally or metaphorically, like either one. Like I see, like, well, literally, like I'll notice now, like I see more couples, like younger couples or couples my age, like where the wife or the girlfriend will be driving and he'll be in the passenger seat. Like, I was just strictly talking about heteronormative relationships here, but
Way down here.
I love that shit, because I think like in this current reality we're in, I think the best thing any man can do for himself and his family, if he has a family or a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever. Like, if you need to heal, you need to heal, and you need to figure out, like, if that means like quitting your job and telling yourself like it's going to be okay, like I'm not going to be unemployed forever. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. Or being home at more often and being a stay-at-home dad, or you know, like, or taking on more of like the responsibility, like cooking in the kitchen and cleaning the kitchen and doing stuff that has like generally been things that men aren't supposed to do, quote unquote. I think it's absolute bullshit. This is my Marxism coming out. I mean, not every Marxist thinks this way, because Marxism can be and is patriarchal, but I think it is bullshit that like stay-at-home moms don't get paid a wage, or like or women who clean the household. And I kind of like, I didn't really like think about that until I quit my job and was like taking on a more active role at home and cleaning the house and doing, some people would call house husbandry, you know. It was like, oh god damn it, why am I not getting? And then when you realize it's like happening to you, and you're like putting all this work into like upkeeping the house, and it's a lot of things, like it's something a lot of Americans never even think about, like, oh, getting paid to be like stay at home. Yeah, like you're contributing, but there's certain things that like, there's certain contributions that aren't financially compensated or compensatory in this country. Like, it just,
Where's the ladder?
it's so cringe to me to think about like how backwards we are in so many respects. It's very frustrating. But don't let that like deter you, you know?
Hey, try over there.
Got it.
Great, bring it over.
And then oh yeah, so here's, okay, I could either talk about Chapel Roan or,
Ladies first.
because I remember when I saw, I'll put a pin in the Chapel Roan. I don't want to forget, because this is important. So I'm going to put an alarm so I don't forget. So yeah, I was saying earlier how we've had a lot of like contractors over, and you know, various people like getting our kitchen remodeled and getting the nursery ready. But like my father-in-law, my wife's dad, has been a tremendous help.
Down through here.
Like, especially with, like, he helped me tear out the carpet in
Still got our guns.
the nursery, because we were just going to go with like hardwood
Get
floors.
our merchandise back.
And he's been a tremendous help. And I remember at first I was like, it was really stressful, because he was like, he was doing like he was calling up the contractors and stuff to do the kitchen remodel. So he was over often. And I remember originally I thought like, you know, stupid naive me, like, oh, he's not going to like take on that active of a role. But he was like literally coming over every day. And it was stressing me out, because like I'm not a handy person. So like it made me feel a certain type of way. You know what I mean? Like when you live in this heteronormative, like hyper capitalist reality where like you're conditioned, whether you want to be or not, to, as a man, you want to be the one. Maybe you don't want to be the one, but you feel like you have no choice. You're obliged to be the one who takes care of certain things like handiwork. And it just made me feel like kind of impotent and incompetent, and like I failed as a man. And I always terrified he was going to judge me or like crack jokes. And he does occasionally, but like it's never with ill intent. He's one of the most like patient and genuine people I've ever met, and he's also extremely handy. And I remember like my dad used to be like the handyman in my life. Like I remember one time I got a flat tire and I called him. Like my dad was never emotionally available, but he was always there. Like if I needed like a ride or something, or like if I had a flat tire, he would come and like pick me up, and he was really good with that stuff. And like ever since he's retired from work, he's kind of like coasting on life now, which I don't blame him. Like I absolutely like he's earned that. Like he worked like a blue collar job all his life, raising two kids. And like I said, like wasn't really there that much emotionally, typical like boomer dad. But very nice guy, and very handy. And it's funny now because I feel like he's complete, like he doesn't give a fuck anymore. Like, and I wouldn't even like when me and my wife first got our house. Like I remember one time I clogged the toilet and I had to I didn't feel like. Well, this is an opiate story. I was taking opiates still at the time. This was like 10 years ago, and I clogged the toilet, and I couldn't get it unclogged. And my wife was like working, and this was like before we were super comfortable with each other. So it's like, oh shit, I can't figure out how to unclog this toilet. I'm like plunging for 20 minutes. I'm getting shitty water everywhere. So I like called my dad, and this is when he like still lives like a mile away. Now he lives much further away. So, it was just like, it was very, yeah, I did rely on him a bit too much. So now it's like, now that he lives further away and he's kind of like more checked out and he's doing his own thing and he's just kind of hanging out. Sophia's dad has been like the reliant one, but he's also, it's like, I have like an opinion of boomer dads, and it's like my friends' dads. And I always hear the same thing because I have friends who have this one, like there's this one dad who is kind of like universally, like he's always at big events, and he kind of takes on this father role, even though he's like kind of insane, which certain people, like some friends who will be listening to this, if you are, God bless you, will know exactly who I'm talking about. Hint, he has the same first name as me. He can be like very asshole-ish, but he has a charm to him. And I remember, so like this was like, we're cool now, but I remember when we were like first like trying to like feel each other out, when we like weren't regular or familiar with each other, we didn't get along. And I remember like after he left one time, I was like, how do you guys like deal with him? And his son said, because he pays for a lot of stuff. I just thought that was hilarious. Like it's almost like millennial to boomer relationships, like specifically, I feel like fathers to like boomer fathers to like millennial sons. I feel like it can be transactional at times, or like the millennial will just let their dad, if he's an asshole, walk all over them. But hey, it's okay because he pays for things, But we are cool now, and he is. It is what it is.
It's a bit heavy.
I think I can handle it.
All right.
But yeah, like my father-in-law, his girlfriend calls him Popeye, and sometimes Superman, and it's like, I used to be jealous. It's like everybody like loves and respects this man, and he has like a very lame like PG sense of humor. Like he doesn't swear much, and he's just like he has like dad jokes, and it's just been like, it's been a pleasure. Oh, there's my alarm going off to remind me to talk about Chaperone. But yeah, he will never watch this, but and this is very sappy, but I appreciate my father-in-law. Like I've gotten closer to him, and I appreciate that. Like he's a really good dude. And it's weird because like I still feel like awkward around him, maybe for like typical, because I remember like when I was growing up and I was dating in high school and college, a lot of the time like my girlfriends didn't have, like either they were divorced, their parents were divorced, or their dad in one instance had passed away. So like I got out of like having to meet a lot of dads, so I felt like I kept dodging these bullets. But it's like, oh my god, now with my wife and like having to like constantly see, because it's just like a weird thing with men, like this insecurity or whatever, like you don't feel like you're ever enough. But he doesn't make me feel that way. He's not like intimidating. I mean, he is intimidating because he's like a big dude, but he's like once you get to know him, he's just like yeah, sweetheart.
Well, that'll make it more
So yeah, Chapel Roan made a comment a couple of weeks ago ish. But she was talking like she had this huge backlash because she was talking about how like none of her friends are happy who are parents.
now. You hear me?
Okay. You can do that.
And I remember like making that, like I got scared at first because it's like, oh, here's like, because I have this tendency of like being impressionable, and whenever I hear like a take from somebody, I guess I'll say I feel like I'm getting better with like the admiration or like the hero worship or the dick ridery of celebrities, whatever you want to call it. But I remember like that kind of scaring me, and then it's like, wait, Chapel Roan is like what, 23, 22? Like she's, but also like she's right. I'm sure she's right, and she's also like very young, so like her friends are her age, I'm guessing. So like I can see like going right out of high school or college now. Well, I don't know, like people are going to college less nowadays, but yeah, I can see like not having a lot of hope if you already don't have any money and then you have a kid. Plus, like that just seems like to me like a crazy age to have a kid. Is like in your early 20s. Like I'm in my late 30s and my wife is 40, so we have life experience. So, but there's also I guess this is even like Chapel Roan. It's more like I feel like there's like a sect of people on the left. I don't know if I would identify with the left, but this is more of like, to me, this is more of like what bothers me about this take with like people, like countercultural people who I like typically vibe with,
Let us through.
but have this opinion that like if you're having a child with like the return to fascism, even though like I wouldn't even call this a return to fascism. Like Donald Trump is a result, like as a symptom of liberal elitism, and I know like liberals don't want to hear that, but it's true.
Fuck this.
It's absolutely true. We've been living with fascism in this country for a very long time now. I don't know exactly like historically when I would like pinpoint the exact date like the U.S. became a quote unquote fascist like state or whatever. We're kind of more open with it now in like certain ways, but I think people who I get it, like how can you bring a child into this world? I wonder if that's like resentment that like they couldn't have a child, or like they haven't found a partner. Because I feel very lucky. I feel like we live in a time where well, I know, because women are now women are fed up with men because men are men, and a lot of us, I mean even the best of us,
Boost me up.
still have our like angry reactive moments. And I feel incredibly lucky to have married my wife. It's given me, it's chill, like being with her
Give me your hand.
these past over 10 years now at this point has chilled me out in a lot of respects. And yeah, it's like me and Billy were talking about this where it's like, yeah, there's like a lot of bleakness right now, but there always has been. And it's like, if you're lucky, not everybody is lucky enough to like have the privilege to like, you know, be able to spend a few hours on like a Saturday to play video games and then like do voiceover, and you know what I mean? Like,
Two of our guys died
I get it. Like, there's certain areas where there's like destitution, but for the most part now we like there are time. It's not, we obviously don't have time energy as like a collective society, or post class fractured mass, potato class fractured mass, plus whatever you want to call it, the working class. We obviously don't have enough time energy to like do the things we actually want to do, to like cultivate our interests or our passions, because we're still expected to like work to live, you know. And that only gets more challenging once you have a child, you know, because like, how are you going to afford formula? How are you going to afford her schooling? How are you going to afford, you know, impromptu doctor's visits to the ER? You know, God forbid, but that, you know, that shit does happen. And we're all kind of like a few bad breaks away from, you know, being in really dire, shitty water, you know. And that's scary to think about, but it's also like, can't dwell on it for too long. I saw this quote the other day. It was like a letterbox review for Ryan Coogler's latest movie, Sinners, where it's like, the present is a prison, might as well enjoy it. So there's like, well, let's talk about Last of Us for a bit. There's like three main like combat scenarios in this game. So right now the game is like introducing us to the human. So there's human, there's the runners, which are like the infected, like 28 days later zombies who run at you, and then you can either melee them or shoot their heads before they, you know, grab you. And then later on in this video we'll see the clickers. It's not like that exciting, and the combat, I mean, this isn't anything you haven't heard before 100 times from like reading reviews or playing it yourself, you know, but there's like there's a clumsiness to the combat where you never feel like you did it perfectly the way you wanted to do it, but that's, I love that about this game. It's not like, I don't care about doing things perfectly, and I also like, I have no interest to play. I know a lot of people like to play this game on like hardcore or turn the listening mode off. I don't like, to me, for me, that doesn't interest me. It's like, I still like know this is a fucking video game, because like the thing about like, oh, you want to have like the full immersion, you want to like, you can't be like, you're not playing authentically if you don't have listen mode on. It's like, I'm not trying to have an authentically apocalyptic experience. There is something like thrilling to the apocalypse, which is like why it's been so popular in media since like the 1970s with disaster movies, and now it's like, you know, with zombie media, and yeah, zombie media, still very popular, because for some weird reason we do as a society love like consuming media like this, but I think the vast majority of us would off ourselves if this scenario was like a reality, you know. Like, it's not like a bunch of us are looking forward to becoming like libertarians who want to live in the woods and just like have our own or have like our own bunker or whatever, where like a bunch of people work for us. Like, fuck that shit. I don't want to delegate to a bunch of people. I don't want to be like no. And it's not because I'm a good person or I'm doing the morally right thing. It's just, no, that sounds fucking exhausting. Fuck that. It does feel really satisfying when you pop off a headshot in this game, because like the designers do a really good job of like this game. I don't know if I would call it a survival horror game. I mean, I guess.
Slow us down.
Yeah, I would say it's a survival horror game, because it does a really good job with ammo scarcity, which is like a core aspect to like Like I feel like that's one of the biggest components to like a survival. Like what makes a game a survival horror game is the like ammo scarcity. And I know like a lot of people don't like survival horror games because it just feels like a, I don't know, like a cheap trick or whatever. And it's just like, I'm really struggling to get this chain up here. I'm like I'm role playing like actual real life me. I don't know, like a cheap trick or whatever, and it's just like I really couldn't explain to you why I like survival horror games. Maybe because I grew up with them, so I have nostalgia for them. Like I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Like I played the original Resident Evils in the 90s when they came out.
Let's go wrap this up.
And The Last of Us doesn't feel like Resident Evil. I wouldn't even say it feels like. And then I know,
Yeah, well, we lost our contacts in the north, lost our contacts in the south.
like once my wife goes into labor,
Be smart about this. There's a lot of them.
I mean, if you're doing it right as a supportive husband slash father to be, you ain't getting any sleep until the baby has been delivered, you know. So like when your wife is in labor, you're in labor too, in a sense. Definitely, like you're her support, and in some cases you're taking on like an active physical role by, like, I just found this out last night from our friends who have a 3-year-old girl. Like he was shifting his wife's legs. So like you have to, I feel like I need to know, like I need to be on top of like a couple methods of just like positioning, you know, where the legs go. And I'm also very grateful. We're watching The Pit right now, which if you haven't watched The Pit and you have Max, stop watching this. First of all, stop what you're doing and watch The Pit. Like The Pit is amazing. I would say The Pit is better than like The Last of Us television show. Like it's a throwback show in a sense where it's like very bingeable, but not in the so anyway, like if you know The Pit, you know The Pit. But we just watched the episode where they have to give an emergency, they have to deliver a child, and they show the baby crowning and coming out of the vagina. And it is, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but it's like wild to me that I saw that like a week before we're giving birth. That was really yeah. Also, like, probably not the best idea to watch that because it goes like, it's very stressful what happens, but you know the baby's fine and everything, and but like, God, the mom almost dies as she loses a ton of blood. It's a whole thing. I remember pausing it and telling my wife, like, because my wife wanted to stop watching The Pit, and she's like, I just need to take a break from it, because it's like too much right now. And then like we took like a couple day break from watching The Pit, which was really hard because it's like a show, like you can't watch just one episode when you watch it because they leave you on like these insane cliffhangers. So like literally the next like the first episode we watched after taking a couple day break was the baby delivery one, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, is there a God? Does God exist? And do they have a sense of humor for sure if they do.
We just want to talk, Robert.
We got fucking nothing to talk about.
Put your gun down.
It's WrestleMania weekend, which I mentioned as of this recording. I do plan on posting this a week after. Tonight is night one of 2 nights, and WWE right now is being very, like, they're all, a lot of people in the company, a lot of like the talking heads, and even some of the performers like Roman Reigns are coming out as Trump supporters. Roman Reigns he said he identified as a centrist, but he's now starting to lean, he likes the way Trump carries himself. It's like I used to be that centrist type of person, and I don't know. It's like once I quit my job, I just like I started really like pivoting hard left, you know.
Missed you.
Look, whatever it is you heard.
And there's like they had their Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and apparently Triple H, Paul Levesque gave like over an like I don't know if his whole speech was an hour, but like his segment went over an hour, and it's like, of course, this is the same motherfucker who used to like bore the shit out of us, like having the longest matches with no heat and the longest like promos without heat. And I mentioned this in my video essay as like a joke, but it's true. It's like watching Triple H is like it's like being at church for an hour, and I mean that as like an insult. I mean like it's boring as fuck, and like it's like pointless. It's just you're hearing a bunch of hot air, a bunch of like propaganda that is utterly meaningless. But a lot of people buy into it, and it's not like I'm perplexed. It's like people want to be duped, I feel like. And I got like the point of my video, and I already know like I probably came down too harsh, but like it's not like I'm trying to call WWE fans stupid. Like we're all stupid. We're all like
That is a stupid.
there is no like ethical consumption. I know that, you know. It's like, am I?
Well, now what?
I think that's like a very cringe argument to be like, oh, I'm doing the morally righteous thing because I consume the right way, like I consume the correct types of content.
Go find a firefly.
I think for me, like where I'm at with like, I think taste is important. I don't think it's like.
Why are you here? Business.
And I recently watched this. I don't know. This might be huge. We're getting philosophical here, but like,
Where's Robert?
I was watching this debate between a like pretty hardcore Marxist, some people would say tanky, and a guy who's like into Foucault and like what Jordan Peterson would call like a postmodernist. Well, he would call both of them postmodernists, but like some guy who's like who likes Foucault, likes to read Foucault, and because like the whole thing with Marx is like, oh, praxis is actually
How
like
many cards are we talking about?
like following Marx is like doing praxis. It's like
Something smuggled out of the city.
doing activism. And whereas like the argument was like one guy was saying that
How do we know you got him?
reading guys like Foucault is kind of counterintuitive because
Right about that.
Foucault was like part of this whole like CIA. It was Gabriel Rockhill and David Guignon, I think is his name. It's like a French name, but I don't have like I'm not smart enough to like distill this in a way where I'm trying really hard not to use like philosophical jargon because I know that shit's annoying. But I just remember there was one point where, because I used to, the postmodernist guy, the guy who reads Foucault, he used to be somebody I like watched on YouTube, and the Marxist guy kind of checked him because the Foucault guy was wearing a Foucault shirt, and he was making this, and he was like, he said it as almost like a flex at the beginning, like he was proud of wearing the shirt, and Gabriel Rockhill, the Marxist, made the point that Foucault was so David, the other guy, makes a point where he thinks Deleuze should be worth like studying and reading and taking seriously, and he makes the point that Deleuze is like one of the like was famously, not even though he wasn't really, he wrote like a couple times on it, but he was like he was a free Palestine guy. Like he identified with Palestine. He thought Zionism was bullshit. And Gabriel Rockhill like agrees and thinks Zionism is bullshit, but he also acknowledges that Foucault himself was a Zionist. And I felt like at that point it's just like, okay, and because this was challenging for me because like when I quit my job and had more time to read, I was reading guys like Foucault and Lacan, and I think Lacan is quote unquote useful in a lot of senses than like Foucault, but
They've been trying to rile us up.
Looks like they did.
We're trying to defend ourselves.
yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like black pilled by the like post 68 new left, I guess you could call it, where it's just like people like I keep saying Foucault, people like Foucault and Deleuze
Joel, give me a hand with this.
wrote a lot of nonsense, you know. Like their stuff is just overwrought with jargon and references, like deep references to like authors you've never like to even read them. You have to do so much homework and prep beforehand, where it's just like,
Hey,
you know, we're at a point now where it's like
I'll live.
we don't have fucking time to like, it's like who cares? And then you start to like see the cracks in that post 68. Jordan Peterson would call it like the postmodernist. I think like calling it, I think if you read more than Jordan Peterson and actually like have somewhat like some grasp of reality, like they're post 68 people. Like post 68 means like
We need to get to that.
that was like the split between the old left and the new left, and the new left was more, it wasn't like working class. The new left was very much about like students and the university and getting your stuff published in like very exclusive but sexy journals that that academics thought were important. And so it wasn't about working, like the old left was about like the working class and the proletariat and, you know, like shitty material conditions and trying to like overcome that. Whereas like post 68 was much more about just like this. I mean, you could make the argument that it led to like the progressive liberalism slash elitism that we see now. And now we see like cults of personality like Donald Trump, who all they have to do is just be really obscene and, you know, make these just like endlessly bold proclamations that are just so ridiculous, but it's entertaining. And he's just making fun of that, like, that liberalism, that people find that appealing. I think, like, I'm not against being woke. I think, like, people should be woke in a sense, but that term has also become kind of, like a lot of terms now, has become kind of meaningless. I mean, if you're doing it to, like, advance your career, then absolutely I disagree with like the way you're doing it. That's like the Foucault way, I would say. I probably could have worded that way more coherently. I'm still trying to get used to like then I listened to a podcast with this guy Vivek Chibber, who is Vivek Chibber. Yeah, we'll cut this. I need to take a break after this. This is a good start, though. I don't know. I've never really like done
Not much further now.
activism, but it seems to be like, especially post Bernie, like local stuff now, especially with like the digital age we're in, can only go so far. It can only reach so far. I feel like we're at a time now where we have this perfect opportunity to use the internet as like the global village or whatever, but you know, we lack the bandwidth to like get millions of people into like, and then like what would that even look like, you know, millions of people into like what, to hear like some cult of personality, could be the next Stalin or the next Mao. just saying a bunch of shit that like some of it's right and some of it's like horrifically off base, but you just kind of roll with it. I don't know,
It's not far now.
like the world is changing in like a very bizarre. I mean, in some cases, like everything seems to be happening again, like culturally, because right now, like, but I mean, I think that it just has to do with like AI taking over,
The place is right up ahead.
where there seems to be less and less like forms of consumption that are being made by like actual humans.
The hell are we smuggling?
I'll show you.
And here is where we meet Ellie.
Joel, give me a hand with this.
Apparently, I can't remember if I think he did. Elliot Page apparently sued
Let her
The
go.
Last of Us after it released because Naughty Dog,
She's not one of mine.
like the accusation was Naughty Dog used
Don't worry, this is fixable.
his image to for
Can't come with you.
like it was so close to the image Naughty Dog went with Ellie.
We won't get
And you can definitely see it. I don't know whether or not like
There's a crew of fireflies.
I mean I'm not here to tell you like one side is
Not exactly close.
right or whatever.
But
But Beyond Two Souls did come out before this
Speaking
game.
of which, where are they?
I believe. When did Beyond Two Souls come out? Was it 2012 or 2013? I swear I just
Until I see them.
I knew this until very recently. Let me look it up. We're doing live research here.
I can get patched up. But she's not crossing to that part of town.
Oh, Beyond Two Souls came out in October of 2013. So Beyond Two Souls came out for. Okay, that makes sense.
How do you know them?
I was close with his brother Tommy.
Beyond Two Souls is
Jam, I could rely on.
David Cage's
Was that before or after he left your little militia?
second to last game, penultimate game.
He was a good man.
I could just take her to the North Tunnel and wait for me there.
Jesus Christ.
Just cargo, Joel.
And it's a little distracting. It's crazy to think like how like Elliot Page was huge
Don't go with him.
in like the video game scene in the early 2010s because yeah, like people did
Stay close.
unintentionally associate him with Ellie's character in The Last of Us. But it's like, but Ellie does enough where she distinguishes herself, like the voice actress, and it's like she's just like how many different iterations of like a bratty. For like how I don't know how old is Ellie supposed to be here? 14, like like a new teenager, like but just bratty type, like disillusioned, alienated.
Something's gonna happen to us if we don't get off the street.
You're the pro. I'm just following you.
And The Last of Us season 2, one thing that's been distracting for me is I can't remember the actress's name, but the Ellie, who the woman who plays Ellie in the HBO Last of Us series, who was on Game of Thrones as well. She's in her early 20s, but she looks physically like very similar to how she looked in The Last of Us season 1 because there was only like a 2-year gap in filming, whereas like Last of Us 2, the video game Last of Us 2 was released 7 years after Last of Us 1, but it's video game, so they could do whatever they wanted with, aging her, making her more like, because I think she's supposed to be 19 in Last of Us 2. So that shift from 14 to 19 years, like Ellie looks so much different. And like she just looks grown, like awkwardly grown, like not fully grown, but she looks, in Last of Us Part 2, and it's just so distracting because Ellie in the HBO series just looks the same. I think Pedro Pascal,
Where are we going?
like as of this recording,
To the north tunnel.
we like who knows if they're going to kill off Joel
Give me a minute.
in the HBO series. It looks like they're, with the exception of like the Catherine O'Hara character, the therapist character, like they're pretty much doing very similar opening to Last of Us Part 2 for the HBO show. And episode 2 is about to release, so I'm thinking, oh, maybe they do it at the end of episode 2. I can definitely see that. Like it's a two-parter type of deal. And I mean, they almost certainly have to cheat way more than Part 2 does, because Part 2, like I said, I've only played it once, and the game was so polarizing when it released, because you had people who, you had two different types of, like there were two big criticisms with Part 2.
What's the deal with you and Marlene?
There was one criticism that was more Republican coded, where it was like,
Friend, I guess.
pissed off that Joel dies at the beginning, and I mean, it seemed a little misogynistic, because there's definitely more female characters, more focus on female like characters in Last of Us Part 2. And I think there was like a huge backlash against Allie because she killed Joel. Who knows if that's just like pro wrestling like the difference between go away heat and pro wrestling, and like, oh, I like want to see this person get their ass kicked. Like, where do you draw that line? And I feel like there are a lot of like angry, probably mostly white men who just completely, I don't know if they like lost interest or something after Joel died, because Joel was like such a, but like imagine, okay, so Joel in the Last of Us video games is just like this, very hetero
Is it?
bro, like mid-50s, like Gen X boomer adjacent dad. He's like cantankerous at times. But then I'm spoiling Last of Us Part 1 here, but then he does this horrifically violent thing where he kills all these fireflies in order to save Ellie, but in the process, like Ellie holds the cure to like save humanity, but she has to die in the process for that to happen, which is like a really good moral choice. And I mean, in terms of like video game endings, 2013's Last of Us is, I mean, it's still mind blowing thinking about a video game having like the subtlety of that ending. It kind of reminds me of like No Country for Old Men, how that movie ends, where it's just like on this very understated note. And I love stories where there's like two people who don't get along. Like you see this trope in like cop movies, buddy cop movies, where it's like these two people who like couldn't be any more different, but you really want them to like,
Look how dark it is.
like it feels very gratifying when they do finally like start caring for one another. And that's done really well in The Last of Us. We won't see much of that today because I'm doing very early portions of this game.
Hey. Sorry. To
I feel like it's going to be even more challenging or divisive, because like how many Last of Us fans are watching?
It's a lot.
Because my wife loves the Last of Us series, but she hasn't played the video games, like, so she has no idea that Joel dies in Last of Us Part 2 at the beginning. And you got this like,
Having us do their smuggling.
Marlene
I mean, Joel is great and all in the video games, but he's just kind of like this milquetoast dude, whereas like Pedro Pascal has so much riz, like, so it'll be interesting to see like if they do kill him off, like how people will react to that, because Pedro Pascal and Troy Baker Joel are pretty different entities, I would say. Here's the this puzzle reminds me of Alan Wake, the Alan Wake generator puzzles. I recently replayed Alan Wake 1. I don't know, like I'm a big fan of Remedy, but that game is like dumb fun, and it's got like fun references. It's very like it's just like trying to like imitate like a pulpy, trashy Stephen King book. But man, I just felt like it just like got after a while. I just wanted it to end. That's why like I'm kind of overplaying like the vast majority of games all the way through. I feel like if you can't get like a pretty good sense of what a game is in the first like 3 to 4 hours, even two maybe, it's like I don't know. Video games are such a weird thing, and they take up so much of our like it's such a time sink. And I go back and forth with video games. Like, are they can video games lead to like a better world? Are they making men more like less violent by keeping men more at home and away from like I don't know. It's such a weird thing. It's something I guess I really don't want to get into like right now because I don't really have like my thoughts formed properly on it. But it goes back to what I was saying about
I'm actually outside.
men needing to heal and just like maybe stop thinking so much about their careers and trying to like find someone and start a family. It's like there is this thing where if you're obsessed, like it's good to have passion, but at a certain point it's like if that's all you're thinking about and you're thinking about like how your life's going to be so much better or you're going to feel whole finally if you like meet the right partner or you start a family or you get like a well-paying career of the thing you want to do, it's like and then it's just going to your desire is just going to latch onto something else. It's like you're never going to be satisfied or happy. So it's like once you like stop worrying about the results, that's when like and when you start doing it for the love of the game or whatever, I mean that's when you start seeing success. Like that's the weird contradiction of it all.
Look the other way. We can make this worth your while.
Shut up.
Like I said, it's Easter as of this recording, and I'm seeing both. Like I'm in a much better place with my like biological family now. Like there was a point where, like a few years ago, I really started to put up boundaries, and like I grew a pair of balls, and because I didn't have like a great relationship with my brother or my parents. I mean, we saw each other, but it was like very stilted and awkward in like that like typical like hetero white nuclear family type of way.
Why the hell are we smuggling an infected girl?
I'm not infected.
And I'm not that person. Like I used to put on like a really good mask, and I could perform.
Look at this.
I don't care.
I mean, I don't think I mean, black people talk about this like code switching, right? And I think there's not all white people, but I think there's certain white people that can do it. I'm not talking about like code switching to black. I'm talking about like just code switching in the sense of like people pleasing. Like the reason, even though I hated working in customer service, I was very good at it because I was a doormat. And it's like doormats, unfortunately, are usually the best like well, there's two different types of like good customer service employees, and there's like the healthy type that like know when to put up their boundaries, and then there the other kind who are like me, who are like terrified on the inside but don't really show it. Because I couldn't tell you how, like I had so much anxiety working that job, and I couldn't tell you how many people would like come up to me and like commend me for like always looking so chill. In especially like stressful circumstances, which was just completely insane to me, to the point where I think like, are they joking? But I got it so often. It's like, it was weird. It was like, okay, these people like genuinely think I'm like some laid back chill guy. And I like go into my car and I scream.
There's gonna be another spray
or I go home and I scream into a pillow, or like every break I'm taking, I'm just like beelining it to my car and like sucking down a Marlboro Light or a Marlboro Gold as like fast as I can, so I can like light up another one before my break's over. And I'm it's like, am I still that people pleaser after? I think that's why I'm like more terrified to like deal with people now, because like it's like, have I changed, or have I just taken a break? I don't know.
Stay down, don't let him see you.
But I think with becoming a dad, like I said, there's more of a not give a fuckery or a not give a fuckedness, where you just when I did used to go to therapy, my therapist recommended this book called The Spirituality of Imperfection. And it's really nice to I don't know, because like you'll be somewhere and then you think you said something stupid, or you like drop something, or you got into a turning lane without checking your blind spots and there was like a car honking at you, whatever it may be, and like and then you go home after like the event, and then you're just like in your head about like, oh god, I did this like one like stupid ass thing, and it like ruined the whole day, and that person probably thinks I'm like such an idiot now, or I'm so incompetent. But like the thing is with other people, we're all, I think, narcissistic to a degree. So when you're like worrying about what other people are thinking about you, they're either like worrying about what you're thinking of them too, or they're just worried about whatever bullshit is going on in their life. So I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I've started to understand that we're all just like these imperfect beings who are going to make mistakes. And yeah, it's just like, and then having the grace to just like keep going after you make the mistake, and make sure it doesn't like hold you down, because if you are going to make an effort in this world, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. But that's all right. Let me get out of influencer mode here.
Down there.
Come on, Ellie.
Yeah, I used to dread
Everybody get down.
hanging out with family, going to like family events.
How are we supposed to get past them?
But now
Let's go around.
Have a look.
There's too many.
I feel now it's more like
They're in here with
I look forward to it, even when I'm hosting it. When me and my wife are hosting, or I mean, we're not today, but like just the effort of like driving long distances and whatever. I guess it's just like more, I'm living in the moment now. I'm less worried with like how I'm going to come across. My brother has 3 kids, and they're growing up now. Like the oldest she's about to start college, and I remember like, I don't know if it was jealousy, but like every time there was an event, the focus was always on the kids, and they were very little at the time. And I remember it being like so boring. It was just like everybody just kind of staring. And again, this is like a white people thing, I feel like, because I've gotten the other side of this with my wife's side, who's Mexican. Well, she's like first generation Mexican, meaning she like didn't grow up in Mexico, but her dad was, I think, he immigrated to the U.S. at a very young age. But it's like white people have this weird thing where they'll just like stare at the like little kids, and just like all the attention is on them. And I remember like when I was younger and just like a bratty college kid, like I thought that was very boring, which it is. Like I was right in that sense, but what it wasn't right was like jealousy, because it's like, oh, the attention isn't on me, or the attention isn't on like my what I want to talk about. And it's like now that I'm older, and it's like I have to like drive the conversation a lot, because like the kids are now at talking age, and they're like, you know how kids are, they're like quiet or they're on their phones, so like the attention is no longer on them because they don't want attention. And it's not like I want attention either. It's just like you're just kind of sitting there and hanging out, and you're just kind of like, I don't know, I see it as like rest. And I feel like Sunday's a good day for rest. I've never like, and hanging out, like Saturday and hanging out always, well, I love Saturday mornings, but like Saturday nights always kind of stress me out more because there seem to be more, like much more focus on like performance and entertaining other people by doing stupid shit. So, you know, I started associating it with like drinking heavily when I was in college. I'm gonna skip ahead to
Yeah, this looks right. Stay close.
a little bit here. 45-second mark in the corporal offices when I craft the shiv.
Look.
But yeah, it's like Mexican people when they hang out, or at least my wife's family, my family now. Like, there's kids involved, but like, there's also like so many other people. It's not just a bunch. It's like white people don't know how to entertain, is what I'm getting at. And I feel like now that everybody's a little older, and there's like, and now my wife's a part of my biological family. There's been kind of like and I've like started to put up my boundaries. There's more like respect now, and because my brother is like 10 years older than me, and we used to have a very stilted relationship.
Yeah, we've heard that before, huh, Tess?
And he's got that, I don't know like how old you are, but he has very like Chandler from Friends energy, where
Jesus.
he's got like that antagonistic type of like confrontational, where he thinks he's being funny, and sometimes it's funny, but sometimes it's just like, all right, like chill out, you know, you're being too much. And then like I would get in my head, like, should I placate him? Should I laugh at what he's saying? Because if I don't, he's gonna think I'm like some kind of uptight. Like I don't worry about that stuff anymore. Like I am who I am. Like I'll talk if I need to talk. I'll drive the conversation if I need to. I'll tell a story, and I'll also listen.
This way. If we cut through downtown, we can hit the Capitol building by sunrise.
We hope.
I do this now, this kind of like slop content, because I do give off this persona that I'm introverted, and I like to just like sit in quiet contemplation, but that's not really true. Like I do, and a lot of content creators who are on Twitch will say this, like, oh, I don't talk a lot. Like I get my talking out when I like perform in front of the camera. And I think that's like, I don't know, it's kind of sad in some respects,
Holy moly.
because
I guess this is what these buildings look like up close.
I mean,
They're so damn
I'm thinking of Tim Rogers, and I mention him a lot on my channel, and I feel like out of every content creator I follow, he is the one who has like inspired the most passion out of me, and he gets that a lot from his fans. And he's somebody who has like horrifically low self-esteem, and that's why he's so talented, because he's a perfectionist and he's very hard on himself, and it shows in his work. Like that's its own can of worms, is like how much of that is detrimental to the person or the creator.
Are we safe?
For now.
But I remember I think this was like Thanksgiving, he was doing a Twitch stream, and he was complaining that,
Quite a drop.
I think it's his girlfriend Mimsy. I don't know if they're married, or I don't know. I don't want to get into it because it's not my business, and it's their relationship is their business. But he was complaining on stream how
Giant wasteland.
she invited a couple of, I don't know if they're mutual. I'm guessing they're her friends. Yeah, I think he framed it like they were her friends. and kind of gave Tim like very little
Over here.
like she told him Wednesday, like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, very little. What's the phrase? Like, gave him very little time to prepare mentally for people. You know how people
You find
people on the
anything over there?
spectrum, which I would say is
Keep
like
looking.
most everybody born like post 1975 is like on the spectrum in some sense.
Hey, Tess.
It's difficult for us to like we need to know in advance if there's like something coming up. And Tim was like especially annoyed because he's a workaholic and he's like always working on editing his videos. And he was just very annoyed that he had to like have people over, and you could tell it like really stressed him out. And it was weird because like I still do, like I admire Tim. I think he's like incredibly talented and like obviously way smarter than I am. But then there's like also this like crippling loneliness with him, where like he acts like he doesn't need anybody, and he's just like perfectly content to, you know, just work in isolation. And I just see that as like such a problem. And I think of just like all the philosophers I've been reading over the years, like Kant and Hegel, and you know, some of them had, and Nietzsche, you know, like some of them had wives and families, and some of them didn't. Some of them were just like incels who, you know, just spent all their time thinking and working. Like Nietzsche famously said, like he wasn't like so much of his process wasn't like sitting in his room or his ivory tower thinking and writing. Or in reading. He was like out on walks. He was being active, but he was doing so much of this solitary. And I feel like there's like it's a very solipsistic way of living, and I feel like that's still a huge problem in this like content creation era, where like people would rather be on Twitch all day on Easter. Or I mean, I get it, Easter is like some cringe holiday where you know, with this derivative story of Jesus rising from the dead or whatever. But it's like, I don't know, like I'm pretty secular now. I don't know if I would say I believe in God. I think that conversation has like kind of played itself out and it's very boring. But I feel like now it's nice to see family, and I'm glad I've kind of like, it's definitely like my old age. I look forward to like seeing people now and being able to help out, and also being taken care of, and being able to relax. And I know like having, like we had friends over, like I said, we had friends over very recently. We have a 3-year-old daughter, and when they're at that age, you can't even eat in peace. Like you have to take shifts eating because the kid will just always be going off running. And like their daughter had never been to our house before, and we have 2 dogs, so she was like very overstimulated and just like very, but all in a good way, like very curious, wanted to like see the dogs and pet the dogs and see all this stuff in the house. So like she would just be, and then she'd just be running, and you just think like she's running so fast she's gonna trip. So because of that, the parents, they're very good parents, like one of them would eat and then the other one would like have to like get up and like follow her whenever she would like run out of the kitchen or whatever, because we were trying to eat in the kitchen. See, like people think like the first, like when you first become a parent, that's like the hardest part because you lose sleep and all that. I have no idea what part is going to be the hardest for me, but like for them right now, like that's the challenge. Is it's so much more physically active right now because they always have to like I used to date a woman who had at the time he was like 5 or 6-year-old boy, and I remember like I just made this kind of like dark joke where it's like if you take your eyes off a kid for 3 seconds, they could literally die. Not even a joke, like a observation where they're in the parking lot and they take off running. So they require like 24/7 visual supervision. Really good environmental storytelling. from Neil Druckmann and the Naughty Dog boys here with I mean, they learned, they were masters of this by Uncharted 2, well, Uncharted 3,
Be up there. I'll check it out.
with like the way the offices are just kind of like lopsided and blown up and on a slant. And there was that level in Uncharted 3 where you're like literally upside down
Come on, Ellie.
All right, kid, you're up.
on that sinking ship.
Come on. You got it. Okay. Come on, big guy. Give me your hand. Let's go.
Another reason why it was like when I was first starting this nostalgia series,
Clickers?
I had no idea what it was going to be, and it was crazy. By like the third episode, I had somebody over, like literally somebody over, and we were just playing games in the basement. Which, like, I think that's what I wanted when I first started, but I had no idea until like I started doing it, you know. And I like crack jokes in like the lead up into the episodes where I say like it's a desperate plea for friendship. I feel like it's weird because touching grass and seeing people in person, I get it. It feels a little antiquated now. Like I'm not some type of person that thinks like, oh, returning to how things used to be, like the good old days. Like I get that that can be problematic, but it's like humans have become so just content with giving up, like giving up their social lives, giving up their, and I think that's just when your anxiety completely takes over. And that's why, like, it's like, don't admire your heroes, or like, if you have heroes, that's fine, but like,
Ellie, you okay?
don't blindly follow everything they do. Like, I literally used to think, like, a couple years ago, like, or when I was first starting this YouTube channel, very recently, like, I should be just working and grinding all of the time and, you know, working on Christmas and not seeing my family. I remember there was one COVID where, or one, the first COVID year, 2020. I didn't see any friends or family for Thanksgiving. And then we did get together for Christmas, but Thanksgiving didn't see anybody, just like hung out at home.
Just don't.
And
Are you serious?
it was nice because but it was only nice because it was like such a surreal thing where I could just do whatever I wanted. I ended up playing like, I treated myself in the worst way possible. I ended up playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I tried fasting for the entire day, like some ironic, like, oh, Thanksgiving is like this fucked up holiday. It's hypocritical. It's colonial, yada yada yada. So I thought, oh, what if I just fasted throughout the day and played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, a very mid open world game, and I made it to like 5 o'clock, and I remember being so hangry and just like, and I just like was not having fun with the game, and I just caved, and my wife went to see her mom, so I was in the house alone and went for a walk and then came back and then made like the worst tacos because I had to just have something in my system. And if I just kept doing that every Thanksgiving and Christmas, that would get very old and very sad very quickly. And that's where I'm kind of over this like constantly grind set mentality where like people would rather be on Twitch or, you know, off working on whatever it is they're working on, whether rather than like seeing their parents or seeing their brothers or sisters or seeing their, or even being with their kids, you know.
I'll go check it out. Stay with the girl.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little more here. We're gonna go to this mall scene. We're gonna wrap it up soon. So yeah, like we're in the area now with the clickers. This is just a strictly clicker zone. I feel like the clickers are like there's a cheat code around the clickers, but you just have to be very patient. If you are, and the game even like tutorializes this, if you very softly pull on the left trigger or the left analog stick, like very slowly, when you're in crouch mode, they will never hear you, even if you like walk over glass or whatever. So, I mean, it's bold and it takes balls, but like you can just like silently walk up to a clicker who's like directly facing you. As long as you do it very slowly and methodically, like I'm doing now, you can just take them all out with a shiv. And I love the risk reward because like there isn't even like durable weapon durability in this game. It's just straight up like one shiv, like taking out one clicker with a shiv equals one shiv. So it's not even like it gets damaged. Like in the Resident Evil 4 remake gives your shiv knives health. You can do a full few of them before it goes out. In Last of Us Part 1, it's just like you get one shiv and that's it. And there's like you have to decide do I want to use my shiv or do I want to sneak past the clickers? And because shivs unlock doors that have like goodies behind them, crafting materials and the like. And you can't kill. There's two ways I think you can kill clickers. You can kill them with the stealth shiv attack, and you can kill them by throwing a Molotov cocktail at them. That'll take them out in one hit or one Molotov. This area of the mall I always get so lost, and I don't think the game does a great job illustrating where to go. Like, because there's a prompt that's supposed to show up. You're supposed to get to like an elevated ground, and you're supposed to like it'll give you the triangle prompt, but it either did or I didn't see it, or it was very bad at indicating that that's where I was supposed to go. So I was like at that spot during this while I was capturing this, like literally 5, maybe 6, 7 times, and I completely forgot that I was supposed to hit triangle at a certain spot. So I ended up like playing this area over, like just getting lost in this area. But then I ended up like I feel like the clickers by themselves, when there's no other runners in the area or soldiers, is the easiest gameplay wise because, again, you have to be disciplined though. You have to just take it very slowly. And if you have enough shiv / Molotov cocktails, because I'm the type of person, I am terrible at stealth games. Well, not like terrible, but I'm somebody who's been pilled by the trinket ultimatum, where like I always want to get all the trinkets. I don't get the prompt. I think that's kind of like there's no like and Uncharted usually does the thing where there's like a yellow bar where you clearly see, okay, this is where you're supposed to go next. So I think that was a faux pas on their part.
That should help us out.
So yeah, when there's like these runners are very they're like I think they're just like newly turned, so because of that they're like not mobile. But when you have like runners and clickers, that's like the hardest the game gets. Because the runners alert the clickers, and once the clickers are alerted, you're fucked. Because once they're like within your vicinity, like 2 feet within you, you're dead. But if it's just clickers, all you have to like they'll never be alerted if you're just constantly slowly crawling. uses it. Get you something on your shoe. That part always made me laugh. Good bit of sense humor. Like, this game isn't without sense of humor. Yeah, it's like, is there anything harder than like humor in video games? What are the funny video games? Hitman series. Gosh, Contra Hardcore.
Let's find out.
Yes, the weapon upgrade. Yes, there is weapon upgrades and holster upgrades in this game, which I'm fine with. It's Resident Evil 4 DNA.
Hurry, go, go, go! I'm alive. I'll make my way around. Tess? Shit. Tess.
So there's 4 things that I've determined that can go wrong. Or 4 things a child needs when they're crying. They either need to be fed, they have a shitty diaper that needs to be changed, they need a blanket, or they need their blanket taken off because they're hot/cold. Or they're just like generally uncomfortable, like they have gas or something, and they need to fart. And me and my wife have been, she's been looking more than me at like TikToks and Instagram strategies where like you can do this, like if you have them laid on their back, you can like wiggle their legs, like bicycle kick, that can like get the gas out. And then instead of just like beating the shit out of the baby's back by patting them to get them to burp or fart, like we saw this technique where you can just do like constant figure 8 or the infinity sign on their back, and that gets them to burp more. That's like the huge battle to like get through having a restful night, is getting them to be as comfortable as possible by ensuring they don't have that much gas in their bodies, because that's the hugest problem when they're very little, is a lot of the time when they're crying at night, they're physically uncomfortable because like they have to be fed so much when they're so little, and because of that, like their stomachs expand really quickly, but they're still small, so like they have huge problems with gas. I mean, just think about I just had a Mexican meal the other day, and I remember like 5 minutes after I finished eating, I didn't even finish the meal, but like, and I couldn't imagine if I did, because I was just so full of gas and I felt so physically uncomfortable. And I'm around like my father-in-law, and I can't fart in front of him, So like, I'm a grown adult man who is just full of farts, and I want to take off my belt and put on like my fat pants or whatever, and I can't do that. So I can't imagine what that must feel like for a newborn who's like being constantly fed every 2 to 3 hours, but like also needs to get gas out. And also the amount of diapers you go through in the first year, apparently, like it's in the hundreds. They say like you could be changing diapers upwards of 10 times a day. So you get these fucking dickless bitches like Matt Walsh who have 6 children, and act like they're fathers of the year, but like, and then we'll like tell people, oh, like capitalism is working just fine. Like, how are you not okay with like having all this, like you have so much free time when you come home from work, like 4 hours isn't enough or whatever. And it's like, dude, you like literally boast about never having changed a diaper. Like I can't even imagine the other ways you're not there for your child. It's like a dad who has never changed a diaper, like that is not cool. That is completely like bitch behavior. This reminds me of the people who like are too like can't be inconvenienced to wear a mask in public, like the whole COVID thing with like, and then you get conservatives and libertarians. I mean, whatever, they're the same thing now basically, but like, just complaining like little bitches, little spoiled bitches like how their freedoms are being impeded because it all just boils down to they don't want to be physically uncomfortable wearing a mask, because wearing a mask can be uncomfortable. And I get it. Like, I worked in retail during COVID. Yeah, it sucks, but you get used to it and it's fine. It's just like, when we got sick recently and I had to go get food at the grocery store and I was sick and I had to wear a mask. I remember just like I just felt like everybody was looking at me. Like I'm the bitch, like I'm the weirdo because I'm being like considerate. And again, like not doing it because I'm a good person. I feel like people are just like, whenever they see a mask now, they're triggered to like early COVID, because that was like universally like a terrible time for most people. Some for like the dumbest of reasons, because like they couldn't go outside anymore. They couldn't like go to a sporting event, or they couldn't do the things they like, the comfortable like creature comforts they usually. It's just like, God, COVID was like legitimately terrible for some people, but I feel like for a lot of people it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's like the quote in White Lotus. What's her name? The diazepam lady, played by Parker Posey, where she said, I just don't think I can live a uncomfortable life at this age. I feel like that's like most men now. They can't have like any mild discomfort.
Watch your step as you're going out, because it's going to be a little...
And then they'll be the ones that say like, oh, if you wear a mask, you're a bitch, because like they're triggered by like remembering seeing that Dr. Fauci guy, which like, yeah, okay, like the guy's like not a charisma, like whatever. I mean, who the fuck cares? And they like demonize these fucking people who like, yeah, like they don't know what they're doing either. They're trying to give their best advice, and then people just like glom onto that though, and that's all they're just triggered back to these horrific memories that probably weren't even that bad for them, because they couldn't do like a fucking white privilege thing they usually used to get away with doing. And that's where I like COVID. That's why I like COVID for me. Like, it evened the playing field. Like, everybody was affected by COVID. And then obviously, like, after a while, corporations got like way richer, and it became like, and then it became bad in the sense that, yeah, just like it just seemed like
Right around this corner.
at first COVID like kind of evened the playing field because it affected literally everybody, including billionaires. But then like after a while, billionaires adjusted, and then they became richer and richer, and now we are where we are. So I'm gonna skip ahead to Joel with the dumpster, and we're gonna wrap this up. So again, this is, I don't know, not so much a nostalgic episode, more just a vlog of me talking over The Last of Us, and just living the last, couple of days I have until my child is here, and I'm looking forward to her being here. I'm looking forward to learning from her. I'm looking forward to being there for her, and I'm excited to see and trepidatious to see the changes in me. But I think it's going to make me a better, more motivated person. I'm already starting to see that. Or I'm like this morning getting out of bed. It took me a minute because I woke up before my alarm, because I was going to get up especially early to like post and everything and just get some stuff out before my life completely changes. And I'm just kind of laying there, and for a few minutes, and this is like my old routine where I would wake up and then I would just like start thinking, and like either be on my phone or think about just like how hard the day's going to be, and then it just gets more difficult to get out of bed. But I'm doing that less now. Like, I'm just like getting up, and I'm trying to like get into the routine. Like, I've been getting up consistently now at like 6:45. Because my older dog will like wake me up because he starts pacing around the house because he's an old man now. So this is where Tessa. So if you're not following the story at all, so like, bam, 20 years into the future, everything is fucked. Everything's like apocalyptic. Everybody's terrible. and Joel is just like this smuggler, and usually just smuggling in like painkillers and weapons or whatever with this woman Tess.
What are you doing, Tess?
And who knows if they like had a romantic relationship at some point, but they're just like comrades now. And then they find out they're on this job to like smuggle this girl named Ellie who has been bitten but never got infected, never died. So she holds the key to saving the universe. They don't know yet, but their job is to smuggle her and get her somewhere safe to the Fireflies. And Tessa gets bitten, and this is the end of her. So Joel is now on her own with Ellie,
Let's just go home.
and
I'm not going anywhere.
yeah,
This is my last stop.
What?
Our luck had to run out.
I think it's important for
No, don't.
fathers to have like, I like this scene because it kind of reminded me that I shouldn't have like a codependent, like my relationship with my daughter should not be defined by like 100% everything my wife does, meaning like having a codependent relationship, because that just means like I'll be less likely then to change diapers by myself or hold her by myself or feed her by, you know what I mean? So like this is where shit gets real for Joel, because he no longer has a woman, a grown woman who is there. Very quickly,
Bitten an hour ago, and it's already worse.
it's on
This is
him
fucking real.
to
You've got to get this girl to Thomas.
well, initially he's there to like, he just sees Ellie as cargo, but then they obviously develop a relationship throughout the game. And, you know, in many respects, a problematic one for Joel, who, you know, is very conflicted and saves her for, you know, the wrong reasons, a selfish reason, because he sees her as his new daughter.
You want us to just leave you here?
Yes.
There's no way that...
I will not turn into one of those things.
And yeah, I just keep thinking about the spirituality of imperfection and how it's never going to be perfect.
No, just go.
But
Just fucking go.
the present is a prison. Might as well enjoy it.
Didn't mean for this.
Get a move on.
And I find a lot of hope in that. I don't find that like deeply cynical. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.